Hey everybody, Brian Murphy from the Quality Deer Management Association. Increasingly, hunters all over the whitetails range are getting involved in do-it-yourself home processing of their game. And there's two main reasons why. One, there's a growing interest in the quality of game and doing it right and the pride of doing it yourself. Secondly, with increasing chronic wasting disease regulations that require hunters to bone out their animals before leaving a particular area or state, you got all the work done. So if you've got the animal already boned out, why not finish that last step and create your own product at home? Today we're going to be making sausage, and one of my personal favorites, I've been doing it for years, is making bratwurst. Today we're making sweet Italian. And the key with good sausage, in my experience and that of many others, is getting your blend of meat and fat, your proportions correct. And my preference is a fat content between 25 and 30%. And I've also found if you go below about 20% fat, it's going to be a very dense product, and most people aren't going to like it as well as just a little more fat. So my personal ratio is 50% venison and 50% pork and pork fat. So the finished product is a blend of pork and venison. So what I have here is I'm going to make about 6 pounds of sausage out of this particular mix. I've got right at 3 pounds of venison, about 2.5, 2.25 pounds of ground pork butt. And understand that when you're mixing your ratios together, that about 1/3 of that pork butt is also fat. So that the total ratio at the finished product, you want it to be about 28 to 30% is my personal preference. So what I do is I've already pre-ground each of those 3 products and weighed them out to my specifications. So what we're going to do is we're going to knead those together. You don't need a fancy sausage stuffer. If you've got clean hands, that works fine. So I'm just going to mix all that together in a rough blend. And we're going to use just over half of that. That particular seasoned mix makes 10 pounds. We've only got about 6 here, so we're going to use about 60% of the jar. Pretty simple stuff. This is pretty easy because these pre-mixed seasonings are really, really accurate. If in doubt, add a little bit more. They say that if they say they'll do 25 pounds, I typically do about 22 pounds out of it. You know, in other words, cheat it a little bit because the seasoning is often a little bolder. Okay, so I've done a rough mix there, and I'm gonna get Hank to put about 60% of that spice across the top there. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water. Traditional bratwurst makers use milk against your preference. Just a little water or milk, you don't need a lot. Just gives it a little extra moisture. Hank's going for the extra spice, I can tell. Again, we're gonna just mix it up, and then I'm gonna ask Hank to go around there on the other side of the table, and we're gonna do a second grinding. And it's really important that second grinding, as you'll see, because this first grinding and mixing here, it'll still be pretty coarse. That second grinding makes everything really come together nicely, blends your spices. I think it just gets the texture, and you'll see it change color and texture with that second grinding. A lot of people ask, you know, where do you get your fat from? If you have a local butcher, that's a good place. If you don't, you can save fat throughout the year if you buy pork. Save the fat and freeze it. So we got a grinder here. This one is a 575 watt grinder. This second grinding is kind of the most laborious part of the whole process because it doesn't just go through very quickly. It's kind of got a gooey texture to it. It's a pretty good workout for you, but in my estimation, it does make a difference. All right, there we have it. There's our second grind on our bratwurst. It's going to be sweet Italian. If I were making breakfast sausage, I would have used obviously a different spice, but after that second grinding right now, I would be done. One real big hint here on your burger is getting it as cold as possible before you grind it. Almost frozen is really perfect. It's going to go through your grinder really quickly, really neatly. If you let it get hot, particularly the fat, it's going to goo up in your grinder and you're really going to fight yourself. So the next step is taking this product, we're going to put it in a sausage stuffer. We're going to actually run the sausage out in some natural hog casings. They're cleaned, perfectly hygiene hog intestines cleaned out. I prefer the naturals. You can buy a synthetic casing made out of collagen. To me, they taste like wax paper. And another big trick is after you've soaked they come dried up in salt, you have to soak them for a little while, and then you run a little bit of water through them, through each one. Otherwise, they'll hang up on you. Next step is to go ahead and put our casing on the tube. And as you're putting it on, you want to be real careful to kind of keep the twists out of your casing, because what you want to do is minimize the number of times your casings break and blow out on you as you're running sausage. And as I get toward the end, simply tie a knot, just an old single knot, such. All right, now we're at a situation where we've got a fairly closed environment here, almost an air-proof environment, and we don't want that because it'll blow up our casing with air as Hank cranks. So something as simple as a little toothpick or a safety pin, just go ahead and poke you a couple of holes in the end there. And so it's just a matter of staying in rhythm together. And as he gets close to the end, he's going to want to stop before the very end because I'm going to need room to tie off. So I'll kind of give him a heads up like about now, because you're going to get a little bit of runnage out the tube after that. And you're just going to tie this end off. And here's where you get to look like a real butcher and impress your friends. So what you're going to do is you're going to take it in your hands and you're going to pinch, and then you're going to twist the first one forward 3 or 4 times, come down, do the same thing. Second one, you're going to come backwards this time 3 or 4 times. Do it again. So that's just your traditional Lincoln sausage. You can put it right on a smoker like that. You can wrap it up and vacuum seal it. It's really that easy. Next year you harvest, take it from field to fork.